Congratulations, you've made it halfway through the course. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Once again, this is Professor Buckley with you as we journey through law office management for paralegals. So you've done the midterm and you're 4 weeks in, you have a good understanding of client conflicts, software problems you may have to deal with, how to hire a good employee or a good paralegal, and the different type of law offices that you're going to face as you get out there as a new paralegal trying to make it in this ugly world of law. As an attorney, I concur with that statement. This week we're going to talk about accounting, fees, how do you bill. This is a tricky area in which a lot of attorneys struggle with on a day-to-day basis. The ethic rules surrounding billing and fees are very open-ended to the point where attorneys can kind of modify their fees per client. However, you want to maintain a pretty steady fee base, and you cannot overcharge. Many cases have found attorneys to overcharge clients and have to reimburse them. This is a big aspect where law offices differ from business offices. We'll start off with just kind of the basic billing issue real quick. Law office finances are interesting. How they differ is each law office, each lawyer really, has to have two bank accounts for each of them. One would be the operating account, and the other account is called an IOLTA, or an interest on basically it's an interest-bearing account in which you keep your fees in that you've gotten prior to doing the work. These would be those contingency fees that, or not contingency, I'm sorry. These would be advanced fees that you're getting, or as sometimes people call them, retainers, although retainers are not, are looked down upon and are not something that the law associations or the legal community really takes anymore. But you got to keep any fees you get in advance of doing the work in these IOLTA accounts separate from your operating accounts, because first, you haven't earned the fees, and second, any money that you can get off of the interest must go back to the client. So any work that you don't do, for an example, let's say you bill $200 an hour, you get $1,000 in advance because you believe that the issue you're working on is going to take you at least 10 hours to do. So you get $1,000 up front. You put the $1,000 into the IOLTA, and then as you do the work, let's say you bill 2 hours, you could take $400 out of that IOLTA and put it into your operating account. You cannot commingle funds, which means if you've earned the fees, you can't put them into the IOLTA, and as soon as you've earned the fees, you have to take them out. This is extremely important, and a lot of attorneys have been found guilty of commingling funds, and it leads to a disbarment in some states. So so it's very important that you maintain two bank accounts, one for operating and one for the IOLTA, and allow for each of these fees to be placed in the correct accounts. I'm going to stop there, and we'll come back to how we do our billing. Billing is an issue that that attorneys have faced since they started practicing law. Do you collect the fees up front, or do you bill for after you've done the work? Attorneys vary as far as they do. Myself, I do a little bit of both. If I know that I'm going to spend a lot of time on an issue, I'll take a fee up front, an advance fee, so that I know that I can get the money when I've done the work. If, however, I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take, or I know that the client would like to pay as we go, I am having no problem billing the client as we go. The Model Rules of Professional Responsibility, or the ABA, says that we should bill in no more than 15-minute increments in the field of law. Most states have gone to where you should bill in 6-minute increments. This is to better serve the client and give them a better understanding of how long you spend on their issues. You cannot double bill. If you're taking an airplane flight somewhere, you can't bill, and you can't bill 2 or 3 clients for the work that you do. You have to bill the client in which you're flying for. There's a lot of different important aspects in how you bill and the time frame in which you bill for. You can bill for the hours that paralegals spend on each client, although you bill at a much less rate than what normally is billed at. Personally, I bill out at $200 an hour, and this is something that is it's on the low end of where I'm located, but it keeps me competitive and allows me to bring in a lot of new clients in a regular manner, keeping my firm afloat. There's a lot of software you can use to track your time. I use Expensify and also Clio, which is a software you can get online that really handles billing, time tracking, everything like that. So it's really helpful as far as emailing and mailing bills to clients to let them know what they're owed, and it keeps a good record of what outstanding accounts I have as well. You need to make sure that you have a written contract of what you are going to discuss with the client, what you're going to represent them for, what you're going to bill them for. You want to have this contract because if a client ever comes back and says this isn't what we agreed to, the contract is a good way of being able to just pull it out and show the courts that this was agreed to and this is how you're going to handle everything. As far as accounting, you really want to decide whether you're going to run on an accrual method or a cash basis method. If you run on a cash basis method, then of course you have to claim all your funds. However, within the year, you must be able to, you can write off your bad cash flow as well. But if you ever receive that back, then you have to claim that against your taxes as well. This isn't a tax class. I'm not going to get into the tax issues. But once again, here's kind of a handling of what we talked about earlier as far as the operating account versus the IOLTA. You never want to commingle your funds, and you want to make sure you have a good CPA so that they can go through and make sure that all of the transactions and billing has been done properly. This is a really big area. It's probably a lot more that we could cover this week, but this is all that we have time for. And if you want to do some more research on this, there's a lot more information out there that you can find and read up on.